Customer Experience Foundation, and we advise really big companies and governments around the world about customer experience and contact strategy. Well, I guess first of all, let's give the definition. So customer power is a way in which I've described the relationship between the customer and the retailer, or the relationship between customers and suppliers, in which the customer sets the agenda. So we're no longer in charge as organisations of the way in which we do business, the channels in which we communicate with customers. The customers are now setting the agenda. If they are all on Facebook, that's where we have to go and do our business. So in terms of both our means of communication, but also the way we run our organisations, customers are now controlling the agenda. And that makes a significant change in terms of overall strategy, technology strategy, and indeed our CSR policies around the way in which we interact with communities are all changed by customer power. Well, at a fundamental level, I don't think customers have changed at all. We still want the same things, we still want a good value. I think the things that have changed are some of our behaviours. The fact that a huge proportion of American people showroom, which is this thing of looking at products that you've seen in one store to find out where you can get it cheaper. I think we have stopped listening to advertising to a great extent, because we're now interested in what other customers say about organisations. So the idea that, again, this thing of customer power, that we listen to each other far more than we listen to what organisations say to us. And I think that customers' expectations are changing dramatically, because every time someone does something wonderful, people expect all the other suppliers to be able to do it. So I don't think we've changed at our core, but I do think that we've significantly changed some of our peripheral behaviour in terms of how we interact. Well, I think first of all we need to understand just a kind of a dictionary definition of omni-channel. I guess we've gone through several generations. So we had standard retailers, and then there was the web revolution, and then we started to do business on mobile devices and other things. And really that became a multi-channel environment where you could have different experiences on different devices or in different locations if you walked into someone's retail space. And omni-channel is really the idea that not only can I start a journey on my mobile phone and end up dealing with it in store, and we've seen a huge success rate with that in terms of things like click and collect, which has done really well for major retailers. But there are other elements as well. So the idea of omni-channel is that you can start a journey in one thing, continue that journey through any channel you like, and that it will have a consistent feel. Now, when I say a consistent feel, what I must stress is I do not mean that if you walk into a shop that someone is going to talk to you in tweet language and go LOL as in a text. What I mean is that they're going to use appropriate communication for the channel, but they are going to know that you have just been on the website or that you have just spoken to somebody else. So it's about joining up the nature of a transaction and the nature of a relationship into a single experience moving forward. And I think the challenge for retailers, well, the challenges for most organisations tend to be the same, which is they have a lot of legacy systems, and trying to build a single experience is more a technology challenge than it is a customer challenge. However, there is another underlying piece in this, which is that organisations tend to silo, and that means that possibly the website's owned by one part of the business, the retail environment is probably an empire in its own right, and the real challenge is inevitably the one of people having to vote to lose power within an organisation, which is not something that people normally do. I think that is the big inhibitor moving forward. Well, I think a lot of the trends that have started over the last couple of years are really going to start to take hold. So I think, people still talk with some amazement about the amount of trade and the amount of transactions that are done via mobile and via tablets and things of that sort. And I think that that's just going to become commonplace moving forward. I also think that because of the nature of customer power, which is where the customer can lock you out of their device, when they can effectively ignore your advertising simply by giving a few simple commands to their technology, that customer service will become a very important part of marketing and advertising. And what that's going to mean as one of the big changes is that some of that marketing budget that's traditionally gone on above the line or indeed below the line advertising is now going to be spent on making customer service a form of advertising, because we're seeing the dramatic growth of word of mouth trust, consumer to consumer, rather than effectiveness of advertising. So I think that's one thing. The other thing is we're seeing a whole range of things, including 4G arrive, that are going to change the effectiveness of the tools that we have. And so I think we're going to see some increasing functionality available on our mobile devices. And then I guess one of the other big things from a practical point of view is that the nature of customer power seems to dictate that the key focus moving forward has to be blending our contact experience into a single thing. And what I mean by that is currently I'm working on a thing called the Home of the Future, and what we're doing is we're building into it every piece of technology we can, and I can control virtually everything in the house via my iPad, but it does involve me keeping 20 separate applications open, and in fact it's much harder work than just walking around the house and switching things on and off. So we're working to blend all of that together, and I think blended experience where things work better is probably going to be the key focus. I think we've got lots of clever things we can do, but now it's time to merge them together into a single experience, and I think that that's possibly where the biggest change is going to be from the customer's point of view moving forward over